Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today we are going to paint a butterfly with acrylic paints, so let's get started. I'm going to start with the size 0 round brush. Grab the sketch in the description as well as the brushes and the colors that I'm using. So we want to start with a burnt sienna color, and let's start putting that around some of these sections here for the lighter colors of the wings. I'm going to take the burnt sienna and then some orange and then some yellow paint. Okay, let's do this next section here. So I'm going to take burnt sienna, go around the outside edge, pick up some yellow, and then put that into the center. And you want to do the brighter sections before you do any of the black areas. Let's grab this orange, and then let's put some orange on this one, sort of going on the outside edge, and then pick up some yellow, and then put that in the center. And let's do this section with the orange, and then yellow. Okay, and then let's do that with this area here. So I'm going to take some of this bright orange. Let's take a little bit of the burnt sienna and put that around this area. And then pick up the yellow and add the yellow in. Okay, so that's just giving a nice gradation of color. Put the lighter color over here. Okay, and then let's do this section here. So I'll take some burnt sienna, put that around the outside, and then some orange. And it's okay if you go over the line a little bit, because we're going to be covering that with the black paint. Okay, put the yellow towards the center. Okay, and then let's do a little bit lighter section here. So a medium orange with yellow. Okay, for this section, I'm going to pick up some bright orange. Maybe add a little burnt sienna in there. And then pick up the yellow. And put that in. Okay. And then let's come down and do this area here. So I'm going to take some burnt sienna, and then some orange, and then some yellow. Okay, I'm going to put some of that orange that's on the brush, and pick up yellow. Okay, let's do that same thing. So I'm putting the color that was on the brush, then picking up yellow, then feather it down. Okay, and then let's take some burnt sienna. We have a little bit of a color in this section in the back, and pick up yellow, put it in the center. Okay, and then we have this section here, so we can do sort of outline it with the burnt sienna. Then pick up yellow and put that in the middle. Okay, so I think we have most of the colored pieces. And now let's add a little bit of variation. So to do that, I want to add some gray paint. So pick up some gray, and then let's put a little bit of orange into the gray. And then see if we can create sort of a muted grayish tone here. Okay, so we'll do the gray and then add the yellow. Okay, and then over in this section, I want this to be muted, so I'll use that grayish orange. And we're doing this just so that we have some balance in the painting so everything isn't super vibrant and bright. Just gonna make it look more natural. I'm gonna come over here with that gray and then pick up some yellow and bring the yellow down a little bit. Okay, and then this section is white. Might take a little more of this gray. Just bring it into some of these areas here. Just trying to tone down some of the colors. Think about where my brightest values are going to be. Just put some of this gray in to mute some of that really bright orange. Okay, so I think that looks good. So now let's work on the chrysalis. And if we missed any yellow, we can always go back later and fix it. Okay, so for the chrysalis, let's actually pick up a different brush. I'm going to pick up the 3 flat brush and block in some colors. So I have some green here. That's a really dark, intense green. Let's add some black to that to create a dark shadow color. And then start putting in this dark color. So I'm just gonna follow the sketch and use the edge of the brush. Start putting in, blocking in this dark value. Come over here. Okay, I'm gonna put some in the center. Then I'm gonna rinse off my brush. Actually gonna switch brushes. Let's switch back to the 0 round. And I'm gonna pick up some of the Hooker's green. Make sure you add a little bit of water here so that the paint can flow easier. I'm gonna start going around the outside edge of the chrysalis. So I want it to be sort of dark around the outside edges. But in the inside, we want it to glow pretty bright yellow. Okay, so let's start putting in some yellow and see if you can get it on the side where you didn't have any of that orange, because that could sort of muddy the color. I'm going to pick up some yellow. We want it to be straight yellow, sort of in the center. Okay, and then that green can come around it. I'm going to fill in the green over here. And then in the center as well, you could add a little bit of white. Let's actually put the white on the palette. Then pick up some white and add that in this area here for a bit of a highlight. Okay, then I'm going to pick up the white and the Hooker's green and bring some of that along this top edge here. And then onto the right side. And I can also add a little bit of gray and mix that in there. Then towards the center, we want more yellow. You can add the yellow in. So I'm gonna add a little bit of gray and bring some of that gray over here with a little bit of the white. Okay, so we can add details on that later, so let's let that dry. Now pick up the size 3 flat brush and let's start putting in the colors for the branch. So I'm using this burnt sienna. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of black and mix some of that black in there just to create a bit of a darker color. Then I'm going to use some beige. I'm going to come around the top. And then pick up some more beige and bring that down along this bottom. Okay, then I'm going to pick up some more brown and just sort of put that back in towards the center. Okay, so it doesn't have to be super precise, and you can try to get close to this edge here if you want. Just have a bit of a highlight down at the bottom. Okay, so I might add a little bit more beige. Okay, so now we can start adding in the black areas of the butterfly. So I'm going to start with the size 0 round brush. And let's pick up the black. Start putting in the face, the head area. So I'm just going to outline with this black. And then I'm going to pick up some of the gray color and put that in the center and allow it to blend a little bit. Okay, I still have a lot of black on the brush. That's sort of blending together. Then let's pick up some burnt sienna and put that in there as well. Then maybe a little bit of the beige. I'm just doing that to get some variety of color, so it's not just a flat black color. That just makes it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so let's continue with the black and let's go around this area. Okay, so when there's certain lines that are a little bit thicker, you can still use the round brush. You just want to press down. And let's come around here in the center. Then use some gray to go around that area. Then pick up some white and put that in the center. There's 2 little dots there. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the black and let's come down this way here. Have to get the right amount of paint on the brush, so you might need to add some water. Okay, and then sort of use that black paint to just go around these shapes that you made on the wings. So they're going to be outlined in black. Come over this way. Again, if it's a thicker line, just put a little bit more pressure on that brush to make a thick line. Okay, I'm coming down this way. Get a little bit more paint. And then this area here is black, so we can add a line there. And then there's a line over on this left side, trying to make that pretty thin. Okay. All right, so you can go back and sort of clean up any, if you have any little white areas where the paper is showing through, you might have to go back and do another layer. Okay, so now I'm going to switch brushes. Let's switch back to the flat brush, the size 3. It's going to make this go a little bit faster. So grab some black paint and then see if you can go around these marks with the black paint. And this brush is going to work perfect for that. So use the edge of the brush if you have to go through a smaller area, and then use the flat of the brush when you need to cover a thicker area. Okay, and then around this area we can use the edge of the brush to go around these shapes with the black paint. Okay, then let's come over to this area. I'm just using this brush to go around these shapes. So there are a lot of little white shapes here. Let's use the flat of the brush to come around this edge at the bottom. I'm covering up some of the circles for the sketch, but that's okay. Try to get over this way. Okay, and then let's actually put a line around that part. So I'm going around the yellow little sections or orange sections that we made. Okay, so now I'm going to try to go around some of these circles here. Trying to do it pretty loosely. Just curving the brush around. You could take your time with this, pause the video if you want to go slow and have nice, neat, and clean work. I'm just going a little bit faster for the sake of the video. Just curving around some of those dots. And the marks are pretty organic, so you don't have to make perfect circles. Okay, I'm going to bring this line out a little more. Okay, so I think that looks good. So let's clean off that brush. And then for the dots, let's do a combination of different colors. So we want to do some gray. So I'm going to put some gray paint in these little marks here to cover those up. I'm going to pick up some beige and make some little marks with the beige, and I'm letting the brush do the work here. It's making a nice flat shape. I'm going to take the beige and cover up, fill in these marks. Okay, and it's probably a good idea to let that black paint dry before you do this step. That way your paint will not be muddy. Okay, so now I'm going to I have a 0 round brush here that has sort of a blunt top to it. So I'm going to take some white paint and just go back over some of those marks and make some white dots. And this is just a nice detail and almost like a highlight as well. Okay, there's a few over here. And then over here, I just made a little line. So I'm just using this white paint to put some highlights in there. And some white dots. Okay, so now we want to do the antennas. And to do that, I'm going to use a liner brush. This is a size 0 liner brush. It's going to help you get some really thin lines, which you need to make that really thin antenna in the legs. Go ahead and roll your brush in the paint. And then you might have to put your arm or your hand down to stabilize. Start at the top if you can and pull the brush down. Might have to go this way. Okay, so that brush will really help you get some nice thin lines where you can put these details in. Okay, and then same idea for this little antenna at the mouth. Okay, let's add some final highlights. I'm going to take the 0 round brush and I'm going to take some black paint and let's put some little lines across this area here. You can just sort of stipple with the brush. And then I'm going to take some yellow, see if we can put some yellow in there. Okay, you can put it in pretty thick if you want to get some texture. Then I'm going to take some white paint and add a little bit of a highlight here at the top. And then bring some white lines down here to add more highlights. Then a little curve here for a highlight. Okay, and then I'm going to come back to the butterfly, add a highlight right there. Maybe over on this side. Okay, so just adding some highlights. And then we actually have some little dots on the body. You can go back with some white paint and that 0 round. Try to put in some random little dots on the body. Okay, and I think we will call this painting complete. Thank you so much for painting along with me. Like and subscribe for more painting tutorials. And if you want to go deeper into acrylic painting, check out my program linked in the description below, where you can learn about color mixing and how all of this works. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.